the last thing we haven't talked about it. I'm not sure if we're going to talk about it now, but there was a little bit of anger when people realized only the first, was it 100 or 100 maybe, or 1,000 came with a hard shell case.
Oh, Gabe, we are gonna get right to that. We're gonna get right to
And
the
the
launch
rest came with
edition.
gig bags.
We're gonna
Okay,
get yeah.
yeah, we'll get that in.
Awesome.
So as Gabe briefly mentioned, here's the thing. I tried to find the exact information on what they mean by the first 500. So what it was said is the first 500, I think, nationally and then internationally, something like that, the good Silver Skies that were built, shipped with a limited edition plated hard shell case. Now, I desperately tried to actually find a confirmation on if this was the first 500 in every finish or if it was the first 500 total produced guitars, like whatever was ordered first or what. Do you guys actually know? Because I could not find any information to clarify that, what they meant.
All I've heard is I thought it was the first 500 and it was only Onyx, but that's all I've seen on Reverb that people are selling and they're posting that it's the first 500 with the plate.
No, it was all four colors could be launch models. I know that for sure because like this is a white launch edition here.
I saw
and
a case too. Yeah.
Yeah, Alex has a silver launch edition.
If I had one, I'd say give me a gig bag. Man, I hate hard shell cases. They just go in the closet. They'll never get used. If you're a person that uses their guitar a lot and takes it around places, you don't want a hard shell case. You want a gig bag to put in your bag. The guitar is not going to go flying. You're not going to throw the guitar. You know,
right.
Unless you're a touring musician, heavily flying. At that point, it's still getting a Pelican case. Yeah.
Exactly, like a flight case. I do think though that the limited edition ones should come with this case that's branded and maybe say limited edition on, like with the plate. Yeah. But that's one thing because I forget if I'm pretty sure I've talked about it on the show, but I bought a hard shell case from Long McQuaid for my Nebula and it didn't fit, which was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
It literally, like, I was not going to force it in and put any more pressure on it than I was doing. I'm not going to break this thing. But that was one thing that kind of irks me still, is that if you're making a limited edition, you've shown that you can put the plate on the hard shell case. Let's just put it on the limited edition ones at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know there was a lot of kickback with, the guitar is $2,200 and it comes with a gig bag. But yeah, I mean, my Gibson Lifton, whatever true historic case sits in my closet. I never use it. The gig bag is what I use, the PRS one. I move all my guitars with that. If I could have the in-case guitar bag, I would use that. That would be it.
That's one for 1,000 Canadian right now in Reverb.
I missed one in Ohio that was like $300 near me, and it had like one bad zipper, and I kind of wish I did that, but win some, lose some.
The cool thing that with the in case is, this is a little sidetrack. Well, I have my black one right here. It goes great with the Strat style guitars with the flat headstock. Gibson's, it works, but there's a little tension on the bottom because the headstock doesn't go all the way down. But the cool thing is on that 2010 tour John did, that every member of the band got one, even the horn players. So the horn players got custom molded in-case bags for their saxophones or their tenor sax or their or whatever. I think it was like woodwinds, whatever they used. Bob Reynolds, who played with John on Where the Light Is and Continuum era stuff and 2010 tour, if you go deep in his old vlogs, he'll say, yeah, these were custom molded in-case bags that John got for the whole touring band, which is really cool.
That's really cool.
And then there's the mystery one that's the double guitar bag. But I've only seen one. That was the Potter from Gary Clark Jr.
I know Chandler wants one.
Yeah, Yes, Zapata was like, oh, I just found it. That was the job. I'm like, dude, that's an in-case double. Oh my god, unicorn.
Yeah,
Why
those are
am I
grails.
keeping those? I kept mine when I sold my John Mayer signature Strat. I was like, I'm not selling the bag. So I kept it. But why did they stop making them? I'm sure I mean, it's the best. I'd take it over any hard shell case ever. It's more protection than a hard shell, and it's awesome to travel with. Does anyone know why they stopped making them?
Well, John's friend Tony is the founder, I think, of Incase.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they said, maybe he said, if you make the guitar, I'll make you the cases, maybe. And then he's like, oh, can you supply the whole touring band with custom cases as well? Because maybe, I mean, I'm assuming if Incase would do that, they'd have to go through maybe Fender or.
But they
know,
stopped
but-
making it on the SIG towards the end. So
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to where maybe they weren't selling well, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I know they offered them individually. They sold them outside of the SIG model as well. So I wonder, I actually just ordered an in-case camera bag. So maybe I'll say, hey, let me talk to your CEO and say, make these. There's a huge market for them. People are scalping them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
there is.
there are the non-John Mayer in case ones, and then the even more special Mayer ones. But, anyways, that's a tangent. Let's get back on track.
Yeah.
Really cool as well. The Onyx got a lot of use kind of early on, and for a complex mag, he actually wore his Black Silver Sky, which was really interesting. It's a magazine that I want to try and track down.
Oh man, that was a release. Oh my god, that was so hard to get here in LA. That magazine, because it was a newspaper only at Maxfield, which is a boutique. Sorry, I'm screaming. Which is a boutique here in West Hollywood that you had to go because that was released with the Fear of God ones. And my god, that's one magazine I wish I had, but I'm not gonna pay $50 for just a sheet of paper.
Yeah, it was insane. That's one I've always been like, I want to get that for the collection. But it was really cool to see when they did the whole complex, John Mayer, Jerry Lorenzo, Joe LaPuma kind of thing, him with the Onyx Silver Sky. John then released a really cool video on March 16th of 2018 with the Horizon. To quote him, that's a guitar that he just kind of bonded with and took home with him. And he addressed head on a lot of the controversy with the Silver Sky. To quote him here, he says, I want people to play this through a Fender. I'm not sure what video he was kind of calling out, but he kind of called out someone who was playing it through a Victory. And I'm not sure if he was that impressed on it, but he said, I want you to play it through a Fender. It's meant to be played through a Fender-style amp, so play it through a Fender-style amp. He said that it's meant to coexist with Fender amps, Fender guitars, Gibsons, whatever. It's just meant to be a modern take on it.
Let's say the word Fender. The first thing I want you to understand is that I embrace the Fender thing. I've seen people actually like kind of disregard the Fender thing where they should regard it. Like, I want to, as a customer, like at heart, I want to see people play the Silver Sky through a Fender amp because that's what makes the sound, you know? So I was watching someone play through like a Victory amp and I'm going like, well, just play through a Fender. And that's the first thing I want to say is that this guitar is made to coexist with Fender amplifiers, with Fender guitars, with Gibson guitars, with any other guitar out there in the world. It's not trying to revise history. It's just a new way forward.
It's the way of moving forward, and we already touched on, but this is where he talked about the ice pickness of the pickups. He said that, hey, the bridge has some high end to it, and the bridge has some low end to it, and then the neck actually has a little bit of high end. And they took all those nasally frequencies that he didn't like in a Strat, and they just removed them, which we talked about again. That's why these pickups really do the John Mayer thing, because any frequencies that he would always take out, like he said, he'd run his Strat pickups, his Strat tone pots on 5. He doesn't quite need to do that anymore on this guitar, like we've said.
Now the in-betweens. Now, really quickly, a lot of guitar players are going to want to know, do the slow dancing thing, because that's the test, the modern day test of a neck middle out of phase pickup selection is slow dancing and bringing around. the high end on it is not like multiples of overtone high end that just sort of hits you in the ear. It's actually very musical high end that has low end in it. The high end has low end and the low end has high end. So that's really the sound of the guitar. It's sort of a higher definition Strat to me. And I wanted to go in and take out a lot of those frequencies that you sort of have to work to roll off. They're not there. They're just gone. So they're tuned a different way. And sort of going into the guitar, and this is the part of a larger conversation, about going into a guitar that's been around for 60 years and going, well, what still is valid and what's still vital, and what can you sort of go in and modify? Let's get to the radius. Why is it a 9? Why is it a 7 1/4 radius? All the guitars I love that are from the 60s, and I've got a bunch of 64 Strats, all the ones that I pick up and do, you know, that it sort of fits in my hand, they happen to be 7 1/4. Why do I say happen to be 7 1/4? Because I have never thought about neck radius. I believe most guitar players don't think about neck radius when they're playing. Neck radius is kind of a very hardcore, empirical, mathematical take on the shape of a neck. I don't know any guitar players that I run with who talk about neck radius, who look at a guitar and go, and I don't know if you guys ever say, like, looking for a guitar, I want something that's got really hot output and it's got to have a 9.5 radius. It's not in the discussion. Where you do talk about a radius is you play a guitar you like and you go, huh, what's the neck radius on that? Because I'm just not sure that anybody could tell from playing it. I know that I couldn't. I played a long time. If you put something in my hand and I played it and I went, what is that? Is that a 9.5? You'd be like, it's a 12. I'd be like, oh, son of a gun, because there's so many other elements to it. And in this case, the frets are done so well that it really knocks out a certain portion of the conversation of, oh no, you're not going to be able to bend strings on it. So if you feel like you have a preference for a radius, I get it. If you go, look, whenever I pick up a guitar and I love it, it's a 7 1/4. Or you go, I can't get down with 7 1/4 personally because I play it and I get it. But the idea of just sort of adopting a point of view because it's a thing, you go, yeah, 7 1/4, that's for chording, and 9.5, that's for soloing. You see the same thing in like photography. Photography and guitars are very similar, right? Because you can get into the material aspect of it, or you can get into the sort of metaphysical aspect of how you use it and what you're using it for. And you'll hear people say in photography circles, oh, 50 millimeter, that's for portrait. 35 millimeter, that's for like journalism. I have taken great portraits on a 35 millimeter, and I have taken awesome shots of landscape on a 50 millimeter lens. So it's just not true. I hate to say it this way, but it's just not true. The idea that 7 1/4 is for chording and 9.5 is for soloing. It's just not true. I picked up guitars that I loved and they were 12. Okay, picked up guitars I love and they were compound neck radius. So that's how I feel about the radius issue. When the frets are done right, that's oh! Now, what 7 1/4 is really good for is so now that's got a little too much high end, so
that was a great video. And now I'm sure that was the Silver Sky into probably I think it was an octopus, maybe a flint into a loud Fender amp. And that's
he said it was through I think it was a Fender Deluxe and the J Mod.
Yeah.
Were both amps.
Speaking of how Justin said it's meant to be played with a Fender. Maybe we'll talk about it later. How maybe Paul himself said that he saw a video of a guitar store comparing a Silver Sky to their vintage 60-something Strat, and the Silver Sky won. I think they said was the conclusion. But yeah, I mean, you're not going to play a Silver Sky through a Marshall JCM 800. I mean,
No,
that's really not the sound that you associate with that music. But yeah, you put it through a deluxe reverb, crank the deluxe reverb up, and it sounds incredible.
it does. But you don't even need an amp for this guitar to sound good. Remember this? Yeah, this was crazy when he put this video out. Just going direct in, and how good it sounded.
Mm-hmm.
I've never honestly seen anyone else ever really do this, but it sounded great.
Yeah, I think that was at Henson. I think in Hollywood.
Yeah. Cool though that John, especially around the very beginning, he was taking time to kind of play a lot of the different Silver Skies and to make sure they each got some love and attention.
Yeah.
And then here's the very first time I think can confirm without actually being there that the Silver Sky gets used for a song in the studio. And that was New Light.
Yeah. Talk about that or talk about the Moon hoodie, the Capitol hoodie. That's a different story.
When you guys first heard New Light, did you think that it didn't sound like John because it was used with the Silver Sky?
No.
Exactly. It still sounded like him.
Yeah.
The video is great, though.
One of the best music videos ever.
We met him for the first time 3 days later, I think. Yeah.
Moving on, talking about a couple prototypes here as well. This one being Shadow, famously used for Jimmy Kimmel. This is a really cool one. He was kind of experimenting with these earthy colors at the time. And I just always see, when I see the pink in the horn there, that always kind of reminds me of the Nebula, because the Nebula, when you looked at it dead on, you got the kind of deep blue, purple, and then you got bright pink in the horn. So that always reminded me of Shadow, and I don't know if there was maybe some inspiration between like a paint that gave you that kind of look dead on. I don't know, but it's a really cool color. Kind of a shame they never made it.
I saw that guitar at backstage at Leon Bridges. I saw it. So I was like, was me or Hunter and I? I think it was just me. I walked across the backstage to see what was happening, and I see Renee sitting on his chair, and I see John's big pedal board, and I see that guitar on the stand, and I see the purple finish. Like, oh my god, that's the guitar. And then he played with Leon Bridges afterwards. So yeah,
It's a cool
Gabby's our
prototype.
man on the inside.
Gabby is.
If you look at the photos, they said no photos for the sound check. But you look at the photos, you look at the the right corner, you look at your phone, you see somebody with their phone like this. That's me.
I wasn't sure if it was a rumor or if it was just something that I was told in store, but I want to say that the early Silver Skies had more pearlescent, more flake here in the horn, and then they phased that out after like the first year. Maybe it was like certain colors, but I remember looking at a white one and being like, wow, the metallic flakes are so much closer together over here than they are on the rest of the body. But wasn't sure if it was a one-off thing. No one really ever talks about it.
That's a great catch, Ryan. What were we gonna say?
That's what I'm here for.
I'm assuming it was a cost-cutting move because that's extra finishing. So the white had a little bit of a different, shade. Black had a gray. They all were like that the first launch edition. Then they phased them out, and it has to be because the demand is so high. That probably adds, I don't know, however many hours to the finishing process to it. So they did phase that out.
Yeah, I'll throw up some pictures of what that looks like right now. I don't know when exactly they phase that out, but it's very early on for sure because most of us have forgotten about it. To be quite honest, you look at when they very first came out the Onyx, it was almost silver in the horn, and same thing. They all had the different sparkle and everything, so that was kind of something they experimented very early on. Another guitar that did have that kind of different shade in the horn was the Proto color version 5.0.1. This was another really interesting color guitar, very beige, almost like a light skin tone. I didn't know if this might have been kind of what became Moc Sand. They maybe darkened it up a little bit, or a hybrid color almost in between the two prototypes, but this is kind of a cool one.
That's a great
Shadow
color.
is my favorite. If they release that, I hope, because it's like a dark Moc Sand. That's my number one. And did you see the freaking fretboard on the one that the Shadow? What is that, Brazilian? I don't even know. But it's look at
It's
that.
jet.
That guitar looks so good. I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Shadow is great. And it's kind of nice that they were a bit more open, and John and PRS were a bit more open this go around with prototyping and stuff like that. Even with the Super Eagle we talked about, the prototypes, they didn't quite hide them, where when Tommy and the rest of the gang, we did the James Sig one, you had to dig. And plus it was also 20 years ago almost, but you had to really dig to kind of figure out the prototyping process, where with the Silver Sky, they were a lot more open about it. And John, the prototypes too, like you look at that and 5.0.1, they're very drastically different between anything else that's been made.
Do you think they're going to release these as limited editions? I think it might be in the cards, right? What do you think?
Never say never.
I don't know. It's like
Go ahead, Ryan. You go ahead.
It's a cool color, but I think it doesn't fit the bill as like a new age modern color. It's kind of like Olympic whitey little. It's just an off white, and it's a cool color for me. I like things like that. I like sweaters and pants that are off white, but like I don't know if it fits the bill. And I think like with the direction that we're going, I think that we're going to see less colors like this.
Even Shadow.
Yeah.
I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So
My only wish, like Amano was saying, that if they make a Silver Sky with the Brazilian rosewood, oof, that's a game changer. That's a game-ending one. Anything with Brazilian rosewood, ugh.
Moving on, October of 2018. Look, I can explain. John teases the Moc Sand. Now, if you look at this one, to me, I think that's gloss. Would you guys say that that's satin or that's gloss?
That's
I can
gloss
tell the
for sure.
difference. I think it's not because it's shiny.
I think that this is the.
Gods.
I think this is the only time we ever see John with a gloss. And we can debate in pictures going forward, which we'll talk about quite soon. But I think this is the only time we get to see John with the gloss Moc Sand. And it's just a little teaser with the Fear of God ones, of course, and probably Visvim Denim, but he just kind of teases. And then Namn 2019,
bada boom.
less than a year after the Silver Sky was officially announced, we get 4 more colors. And something really interesting that I kind of noticed when I was doing the research, the first colors were called Horizon, Frost, Onyx, and Tungsten. Now we actually more get descriptions of the colors in the names. So you get Dodgem Blue, Mesa Gold, Moc Sand, and Orion Green. Where on the first run, they might have just called it Orion or Dodgem. Do you guys get what I'm saying? It's kind of weird from a marketing standpoint. Everything has a 2-part name this go around, where before it was a 1-part name. Maybe to kind of make more clarification on the color when you hear it. I think this go around, Mesa Gold was kind of the hit from the start. And it was kind of the more popular one. Everyone else, I don't think a lot of people really liked Orion Green or Moc Sand to begin with. But let's talk about sometimes John has played them. So thanks to Gabe for these incredible pictures and some screenshots I took. February 23rd, 2019, we have the rehearsal shows for the 2019 World Tour. Pretty sure this is the only time you actually see John with an Orion Green Silver Sky. And as well, he brings out an Onyx for a bit of the show as well.
That was Orion Green? I had no idea. I thought it was just the lighting.
Yep, Orion Green.
Oh, wow. I thought it was just lighting. That's cool.
Underrated color is Orion Green. It's beautiful. In real life, it's gorgeous. And the frost is nice too, but that Orion Green, I'd play that.
Yeah, I fell in love with it in person too. I think for me, the Silver Sky's been the only guitar I've ever actually considered getting a maple neck with. And I think I'd love Orion Green with a maple neck. I think that kind of has a nice natural look to it. And then, but that's just me. But yeah, only time you get to see John playing Orion Green. Silver Sky.
Wow, I didn't know that Orion Green. That's pretty cool.
Gabe, I know we did a whole episode on the rehearsal show where Gabe and I just talk about that whole day and his experience. So if you want to hear more about this rehearsal show, go back to the pilot season and watch that episode.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Now, 2019 tour kicks off. John pretty much exclusively plays a Mesa Gold Silver Sky. And I think this is also what kind of hyped up the gold a lot, because everyone, I think, thought, oh, gold's his favorite. He's pretty much only playing Mesa Gold throughout the whole tour. And it does look super good.
Yeah.
It looks so good. Gabe bought one.
You ever notice every single board on his is some jet black board? You ever notice that? I've never seen
Yeah.
with a light one at all. The production ones, you see light ones. He gets apparently the
good one.
Yeah. I'm sure maybe he handpicks the boards, or like PRS knows what John likes, and you never know. Maybe there's some, like I say, I doubt the ones that we get are exactly. I don't buy the story of John walking into a Guitar Center and picking one off the wall, and that's the same thing he plays. I don't buy that.
I will say the closest you can get. It's closer than when he was with Fender. He never played a signature. This is closer. It's the closest you're going to get to playing what he plays, I think, for now.
Yeah.
Mod, he did play a couple production models.
Which one? JM Sigs?
Yeah.
A couple, yeah.
But I mean, not as.
Not as often, but he did play an Olympic white production model, and he did play the Cypress.
Was the
on Where the
Cypress
Light
and
Is.
Where the Light Is, that was a production?
Yep, and they sold it.
Wow.
You must not have watched the episode we aired
Not yet.
last week. Yeah, that was production model as well.
Nice. Sounded good.
It did. Cool thing, as we segue into saying the closest thing you can get to what he uses, they actually gave away that gold silver sky he played on the Asia leg of the tour.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who won, but that's pretty wicked. You got a chance to meet John at the Forum in LA and win the Mesa Gold Silver Sky that he was playing for all those shows.
Where I met
Now,
him in LA.
if only you were the one who won it.
Oh, I know.
Find out who won it. Find out who
This
won
was
it.
a cool guitar. Oh, really?
Take it apart. Oh, we should find out who won it, and then take it apart, and then we can quell if he's playing the ones you can buy in Guitar Center, or if it's different, and then I can live my dreams saying this is the same thing. You got it.
I do totally agree. It's the closest guitar, maybe besides the Super Eagle, to what you're playing than to what John is playing. This was a hugely hyped color, the purple John teased on April 10th in Japan.
Oh yeah, that was a cool one. That was a really cool one.
That's gorgeous. Wow, I haven't seen that one before.
Yeah, if you look on
Very
YouTube, because that's I forget what show that was. I know the one with
Broke it down.
Yeah, Budokan. Yeah. You look on YouTube, some of the videos. It's gorgeous purple.
Yeah, I try to get some different shots of like the one on the left here is kind of it shows it's a nice deep.
Yeah. It just that was a cool
Yeah, it looks
one.
like
The edge.
looks like a flat color and not metallic, which is
Yeah,
interesting.
then he gave it to Ed Sheeran. Very cool.
A lot of people
guy.
were fingers crossed it was going to Danish Pete. Because they were right then they were talking about doing an episode with the guys at Anderton's, and you see that, and I think a lot of people think Danish Pete when you see a purple guitar, and I'm still a little disappointed that Pete never got the purple. I was hoping when I saw that.
Maybe it'll happen.
Maybe it happened. But yeah, so John plays it, and then he ends up giving it to Ed Sheeran when he comes on stage, and Ed goes home with it. So that was another cool one-off color that happened. I really like that purple, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of purple on a lot of guitars, but I do think it looks good.
I love it. Yeah, I think it's a cool color.
Moving forward, April 22nd, 2019, this is Coachella, and this is the first time we see the Satin Proto Moc Sand. If you look kind of at the top, on the top horn, I'm pretty confident that that is satin, not gloss. Now we can let's debate. Let's debate. Would you guys see if that's gloss or satin? I personally think satin.
So the shadow reflection by his right hand, the second pick, looks a little more glossy, but the fact that the face of the guitar is not catching any color, not kicking it back, it looks like satin. Like the shadows on like the bottom of it aren't sharp like you would see on a glossy guitar.
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, look at the horn cutaway. You can tell it's satin. Satin has a little bit of gloss. That definitely, to me, is satin. Seeing it up close like that, looks great.
So this was the only time I was debating, because this is the first time that you see John play a Moc Sand. So the picture that he posted before the release, that has to be a production gloss Moc Sand, but you never actually get to see him play a gloss Moc Sand. It's always been the satin, because this is the very first show.
That's so cool.
Now that we're talking about the Satin Moc Sand, let's talk about it. John did a Q&A, was asked, what's your personal favorite silver sky color? And that's when we got the confirmation that this was a different finish. He said, Moc Sand, to be more specific, the satin finish, Nitro Proto.
Nitro Proto.
It's gorgeous, hey? satin look on it.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I think Moc Sand in general,
Something.
whether you're going with gloss or satin, I personally,
It's just a great color.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a Kansas Jayhawks t-shirt he's wearing. Just shout out my Kansas Jayhawks.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
man. Represent.
College.
One really cool thing that we got to see during 2019 was how quickly the Moc Sand, the Satin Proto, actually developed some wear. We all know, based on the black one from the discussion we did, and the 64, that John does wear his guitars right above the pickguard. That's just his strumming pattern. And you can see on the sections where we've zoomed in here, there is actually a lot of wear already. You can see the lines
Yeah.
in the Nitro going. So I think that's just something cool.
Didn't
Just
he
different
say
than
on
the poly.
Winter Nam thing with PRS that he's actually starting to favor that one as his number one?
This guitar is
Yeah.
his
this
number
one.
one. It is, because if you look, it's got a number one sticker on the back of it.
And the
And
G-Shock
then-
sticker.
And then, yeah, in later 2019, we see that he added a G-Shock sticker, which is really cool. Something else to point out, I'm not sure if we can tell. We talked about the back of the headstock. A couple of things I noticed. Number one is you see the plate. It still says John Mayer, Silver Sky on the back. So it's a standard plate you get. No serial numbers or identification on this prototype at all in the back of the headstock. It's just plain. I can't tell about the scarf.
It has it.
You
See
can
that
tell?
line? Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
You see?
Oh, okay.
Mine-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine has that same line that you can see
That's
maybe.
interesting that it has
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I would have didn't. Interesting.
But it does have it, so that's the only time we really get a really good look at the back of any of John's actual Silver Skies. So we can tell that from early on he did start to favor the Moc Sand, putting the number one sticker decal in the back and then adding a G-Shock one, which is kind of, we know in
That's pretty cool.
2020 he really fell in love with G-Shocks with the Hodinkee collab and everything, but the fact that he put a G-Shock sticker in the back of his number one, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We talked in the green room about the strap and how it's been sold out ever since John started using it on his Satin Moc Sand Silver Sky. It gets asked a lot in the lounge, so let's again clarify. It's a DiMarzio Cliplock strap. In my notes here, I have the actual name of it. Oh, wait, no, I don't think I do. Oh, yeah, it's called Air Force Gray. That's the official color name.
Mod
Yeah.
has it.
The mod has it. And they're backordered like crazy. I don't get it. Like,
Neither
dude,
do
I
I.
do
I mean,
get it, but
A lot of shredders. Steve Vai uses them a lot.
yeah.
They're cool, and what's cool about them is they have their own. They come with their own screws. So on the PRSs, I think you use the white one, and it goes in perfectly into the PRS screw, and then you just secure it, and then bada bing, bada boom, you can take off the strap just by unclipping it. I have mine on my other PRS.
Yeah. And I know we talked about earlier about how the Silver Sky into a Fender is such a great sound. Well, for the promo for the North American leg of the tour, John played Slow Dancing through a vintage deluxe reverb with his Moc Sand Proto, and oh boy, did that sound good. It didn't quite sound like what you're used to, but it sounded really good.
Was that an Alessandro Deluxe Reverb or was it the vintage one?
Ooh.
I think it was vintage because he commented on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he said vintage. But
Yeah.
I know there's
Alessandro posted something about it, but maybe that was something else. You notice on the strap, I'll point out he took the DiMarzio logo off, which you could use like an X-Acto knife or something. So
Yeah.
shout out to Brian Mandel. He hooked it up on this strap. I'm
Shout
not
out
going to
Brian.
tell it to anybody, so quit asking me about it.
They're quite. I got mine. I got 2 Sweetwater. I still have one in the 2 of the black ones. I still have one in my closet.
Did you use I just used the PRS standard whatever. I just unscrewed it and then I used their little washers. Did you do it differently?
I used the DiMarzio washers.
I used the DiMarzio washers, but I used the end of the PRS one, and then I used the PRS hardware screw. I didn't use the other ones, but maybe I figured his looks like I can't tell in the picture if he's using the PRS one or not.
Yeah,
I think I used the PRS one.
He is?
I don't know because the Ibanez one pokes out a little bit. The Ibanez.
Yeah, look at
the adapter.
Look at this. Look at this on my Mare Sig. You can see how it comes out.
Yeah.
Like fairly high. And I also made the mistake of using the screws that came with this. So I drilled holes a lot deeper into the body of this than I probably should have. Because they were like, the stock screw was like, however high. And the one that came with the strap was almost double.
Because on here I used the stock, I used the DiMarzio one. And it comes out perfectly.
Oh.
Right, and it fits like it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, I don't know.
A little tighter than usual, but because I wouldn't have changed it if the screws wouldn't go in because that would be I had to take it somewhere and I can't do it myself.
The screws still fit the hole, but I did notice I had to drill a little bit further into the body. Which, in hindsight, I probably should have realized that I can just use the old screws, but the guitar's fine, no cracks or nothing, so I got out of that.
Sell it.
And at that point, it was you have a DiMarzio strap on your guitar. I was like, oh, because John Mayer.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
it's a little cleaner without the logo. I have to admit. I think
I'm gonna have to after this podcast. I'm actually probably gonna take the logo off mine as well.
I gotta restrict my guitar after this episode, that's for sure.
But that's the Satin Proto. I just wanted to touch on it now while we talk about the very first time we saw it. It's wicked guitar, wicked, and it's cool to see that John now says he has a new #1 guitar, which is that one there. Moving on back onto the 2019 World Tour, this was something that not a lot of people caught. It was on July 22nd, John teased the Midnight Rose color for one show only. It's the only time we've ever seen him. It's the only time we've ever seen him use it on stage, because he's played it once, one other time we've seen. But one show, he teased Midnight Rose, which is really cool. I remember I was going back on the MSM forum, and someone posted, "Hey, did you guys see this color that John is using tonight?" And no one even said anything to it, which is weird. It just went like flat out under the radar. That he teased one of the upcoming colors. This is actually, this was a really popular color, and it's a lot of people's favorite now. It's kind of too bad that John hasn't played it more, but I thought it was really cool that not a lot of people are actually aware that he did play it one night, like halfway through summer, that it actually became a color. And this is where we kind of go onto a really crazy few-day stint where we get a lot of crazy new Silver Skies being teased. So you have, if you notice, July 22nd, we got Midnight Rose being teased. July 23rd, the all-white Silver Sky gets debuted.
With the matching headstock and neck.
Yeah, and a lot of people instantly go, that's an SC model. Now, I'm not a big PRS guy in terms of my knowledge, but is an matching back and headstock, is that an SC thing?
I think that's any guitar, any PRS. I think they have usually the Satin, unless the artist asks for it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
it didn't make much sense to think that was an SE because I didn't think that was an SE thing. But a lot of the hype was that it was going to be an SE model. And I know a lot of people have talked about Sam. Shout out to Sam. He was debating buying a Frost Silver Sky and getting someone to refinish the back of the headstock and the front in white to match. But I haven't seen anyone do it. Yeah, but that'd be cool. That's
maybe PRS would do it. Pay him enough. Why not?
I wonder if they would do that or not. That'd be kind of cool. Someone should ask PRS.
The only one I like more than Shadow. That one is if they do a limited run of that, I'm all over that one. That's awesome.
I'm not a fan of the matching. It's just me. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So again, yeah, given a one-off Silver Sky. Ryan, what are your thoughts on the all white?
Well, honestly, I didn't know it was the back of the neck too. I think that's kind of interesting in a good way. But when I see the paint match headstock, I think Jazzmaster, and I'm really like that's not really my speed. But I don't know. It's interesting. It's growing on me. I think I'd like it more if it was gloss, honestly. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's a cool guitar though. Now, again, this is 4 nights in a row we get a release of a new Silver Sky. On July 24th, is that a maple neck? What everyone's been asking for gets teased for new light.
At the Garden.
Yeah. Which is really cool.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting that, and I never realized it until actually going back and making the slides for this episode, was that there was a 4-day stint where we got a new Silver Sky release every night, back to back to back. That's crazy.
That's really cool.
So John obviously was teasing.
Yeah, imagine if that's a different world. If every day a new guitar came out, they would release it to the public, but like one of 100 or one of a super small number.
Yeah,
that would have been something. Now, because in the photo on the left, I know it's just maple usually, but with the tint, it looks like roasted maple.
It does, yeah.
Which would be really cool, but I think Sir has that down.
I think a lot of people too thought that this was a tease of Polar Blue, but it's tungsten. Just some of the lighting, it looks a bit blue. So unfortunately, John has never played a Polar Blue Silver Sky, or at least that we've seen. We have no footage of him with a Polar Blue. So that and the Gloss Sand actually in his hands are the 2 Silver Skies that we have yet to see John actually play. And as Ahmad mentioned, on August 3rd, Isaiah, lucky man, he's also using a DiMarzio Cliplock strap. He's given the all-white Silver Sky. Which is pretty cool. And unfortunately, as of right now, Oh, yeah?
I don't know when the Chicago dates were. I know they were early August, but sometime I was in there somewhere.
Hey, at least you got to see the 2019 World Tour. I'm still kicking myself that I never went. John, make shows closer to Western Canada so I don't have to fly super far to go see him.
Leave Western Canada. Plan B.
Plan B, that's for
to watch concerts now after 2020.
Yeah, for sure. Send some all-season chips, Justin, please.
And ketchup. Now, September 5th, the music video for Carry Me Away drops, and we get John with Dodgem Blue. There was also a video of him with it in his kitchen. He was kind of just messing around, doing an Instagram Live, but I thought that was kind of cool. Dodgem Blue, I know, I think Maud, you and I were talking, and you're not a big fan of this color, but I really like it. It's a nice kind of tealy blue, metallic blue.
I think it's the worst Silver Sky color. By
That's a hot
far.
take. That's a hot take. But yeah,
It's
so
interesting. The Dodgem blue and Orion green are very American muscle car colors. Like you could see them on a GTO or something, and it's interesting the contrast from like the modern like Tesla colors to something that's a little more of a throwback. But yeah, because you're not going to see a car that's anything like this. Maybe a Chevy Spark or something. They have weird colors, but just interesting.
that's another really good point out there, that we know John likes car colors for his paints for his guitars, but yeah, he kind of went backwards from against what he said the Silver Sky was going to be, and he put some old school muscle car colors a little bit. But yeah, so then we move on. September 13th, we get another beautiful show with a Horizon. These pictures just looked great. Honestly, that's really why I wanted to throw them in. You get to see him use it on stage, and the red there to me really sells. He does a really wicked Helpless solo on this one. I think that was the first time I ever saw him do like the tapping during the first solo for Helpless. It was wicked.
And Rose.
We got another tease from Rocco Palladino. I think you guys can all guess whose kid Rocco is. Pino Palladino's. Yeah. So he uploads an Instagram video saying that one time John came and kicked it with us in the rehearsal space before the Crossroads Festival. And at the very end, it quickly glances over to John, actually, where you can see him playing instead of just hearing him. And he's playing Midnight Rose, but on stage, goes back to the number one, Satin Moc Sand. Which I thought, now, like, looking at that, that's kind of weird. He's got the Midnight Rose. He's played it once before. It's not really a huge secret anymore. Why didn't he just go out and tease a new color?
Who knows?
Two things. That video backstage is amazing. Knight Rider is such a groove. Jake did a great interpretation playing over it. It was amazing. And two is the Silver Sky on the right is gloss. The guy who has it now, remember, he bought it after the show. He's in the group.
Oh my God, you are right. You are totally right that he played a gloss at that show and gave it to a customer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the best example of John playing a guitar off a shelf. And then someone else that is in our circle has it.
So you're right. So, correction. The only Silver Sky finish John has never played is Polar Blue. He has played the gloss, Moc Sand. Good catch.
But during Crossroads, he played his Satin one, though.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I totally forgot, because to me on Crossroads it's just.
The full show, yeah.
And I'm really regretful I didn't go to that show. He played Kansas City September 2nd. I didn't even hear about Crossroads, and I wish I would have gone so bad, because I don't know if I'm going to ever get a chance to see Clapton play again. But if he does, I'm looking forward to that.
That'd be a wicked show.
Besides the guitar is the moment from that little day was his shoes. That's a different story.
That's it. Gabe, we'll do an episode on Visvim and
That's it.
fashion.
Yeah, exclusives, yeah.